Oh, yeah. Welcome to the show. This is Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. Johnny North is here with me, and we are here with you every Saturday morning, premiering on YouTube and Facebook Live, on your podcast as well at ringsidereport.net. Today on the show, WWE Payback. We will preview the next pay-per-view from the WWE. 1 week removed from SummerSlam, the WWE is back. Roman Reigns is back. Roman Reigns will be challenging The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Braun Strowman in a triple threat match for the Universal Championship. What else will be at Payback? We'll try and figure that out here on the show. Wrestling Uncensored. Hit up that super chat if you're watching the premiere here on YouTube. Support our sponsors as well, manscaped.com. Use the promo code ringside20 for 20% off your order and free shipping. Stitcher, go to Stitcher Premium, stitcher.com/premium. Use that promo code ringside. And IPVanish, go to vpn.ringsidereport.net to protect yourself on the internet. More on that later. I want to start with some professional wrestling, Big Johnny. Payback. We're back. We will be on Sunday night, 7 p.m., another WWE watch-along. We were with you last Sunday. Had a lot of fun for SummerSlam. Thank you for watching. Those of you that did watch the show, we will be back on Sunday for another WWE pay-per-view. Roman Reigns is back. He beat up Braun Strowman and The Fiend at SummerSlam to close the show. He was on SmackDown, not really doing much. We didn't really see him until the end when Adam Pearce, one of the backstage guys for WWE, was told by Vince McMahon at the top of the show that he had to get the contract signed by all three members of the main event, The Fiend, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns. So he got that done, and then at the end of the show, he goes to see Roman Reigns. Roman's not answering the door to his massive private locker room. Like, not only does Roman have a private locker room, according to SmackDown, but it is pretty big because Adam Pearce walks into the room, and it's like a corridor that seems to lead to several other rooms. I don't know what kind of setup they gave Roman Reigns. I don't think it's necessarily what's really going on, but who knows? Maybe Roman is social distancing in a major way. But Roman was there, and he was talking about how he will be victorious, and he will beat up The Fiend, and that's a guarantee, and he'll beat up Braun Strowman, and that's a fact, and he will walk away Universal Champion, and that is a spoiler. And then the camera pans right next to him on this couch that he's on, and Paul Heyman is there. And Paul Heyman looks very happy, and it seems like Paul Heyman now is Roman's new manager. So Roman Reigns now being fronted by Paul Heyman. Interesting stuff going into the pay-per-view here. WWE Payback. Johnny, what did you make of the finish to SmackDown? I thought it was fantastic. I loved it.
Well, I kept hearing news that they say Roman Reigns has turned heel. After watching SummerSlam, I'm like, where's the heel turn? I don't see it. After SmackDown, now I can somewhat understand what people are talking about. If he's going to be aligned with Paul Heyman, who's been pretty much a heel for most of his WWE run, I could believe people like finally believing Roman Reigns is a heel. The problem is, though, like, you don't have actual fans there, so it's hard to gauge like how fans would actually react to this or not. WWE is going to give you the fake crowd noise, but what would fans actually do? I don't know.
It's hard to tell if Roman Reigns is a heel. People were already asking me right after SmackDown on Twitter, is Roman a heel now? And I said, no, I don't think Roman Reigns is a heel. I think Roman Reigns is still the babyface. If not, at worst, I'd say a tweener, kind of in between a heel and babyface. Braun Strowman is a heel. Braun Strowman beating up Drew Gulak. He seems to be mean. He doesn't care about Alexa Bliss at all. By the way, Alexa Bliss, where's she been? She was in this storyline. You figured she'd get involved at SummerSlam. Didn't. Now not on TV on SmackDown either. But
She was
I don't
on
see.
SmackDown.
She was?
Yeah, you missed it. Nikki Cross did a promo where she had like the cup that Alexa gave her, and Alexa came out, hugged her, and everything. But I guess her hair, I don't know how Nikki Cross saw this, but apparently Nikki's hair or Alexa's hair reminded Nikki of the Fiend. She's like, "Oh, I don't like that." And then Alexa broke the cup and said, "I don't like our friendship anymore." So I guess they're not friends anymore.
I don't understand. I watched SmackDown. How did I miss that? Was it really short? Did I skip over it because I thought it was commercials? I don't get it. I guess I missed it.
Maybe it's that, or maybe it's whatever Fox channel you watched it on didn't show it for whatever reason, but that definitely
weird.
happened.
Oh, okay. So Alexa was on SmackDown, and she's like, I guess she's turning heel. But I don't see Roman Reigns as the heel. I don't see him as a heel right now. He beat up the Fiend. Isn't the Fiend a heel? Isn't Braun Strowman a heel? Beating up two heels doesn't really make you a bad guy, right? I don't understand. Is the Fiend supposed to be a babyface? Is Braun Strowman still supposed to be a babyface? Because it seems to me like he turned. His appearance on SmackDown, beating up Drew Gulak. Braun Strowman's got a brand new shirt. It's like a tight green t-shirt that he's wearing. I don't think Braun Strowman's a heel. I mean, a babyface. He's not a good guy. He's a bad guy, right? So Roman is the good guy in this match. That's how I see it.
Well, that's it. It's all how you look at it. Like, I'm with you. I see Braun as the heel. He's kind of a jerk to everybody. He doesn't really like anybody whatsoever. Everyone tries to save him from retribution. He still pushes everyone away. He's a bit of a jerk no matter what. The Fiend, he's kind of like the master of all evil because he's turning all these faces into heels. Like, so to me, he's definitely like the king heel without question. But for some reason, people love him regardless. He's somewhat of a tweener in that sense, I guess. And Roman just came back and just said it's his yard, ooh wah, and that's it. So how does that make him a bad guy? I don't know. And just because you're with Paul Heyman can turn face. It's not impossible.
That's it. People like Paul Heyman. I don't see Roman Reigns as a heel just because he's with Paul Heyman. Even Brock, was a babyface at times. At least he got babyface reactions. I think that this is just adding a new edge to Roman Reigns. And I think that he should become champion at Payback. Go Roman. I hope he wins. It's his time. It's his yard. It's his show. It's Roman Reigns. He's the guy that the WWE has been building for the past 5 years, if not more. This is their guy. This is the main event. This is the Cena. This is the Hogan. This is his era. He's been gone for 6 months. You come back, you take the title. Roman Reigns, Universal Champion, had to give up the title to go battle leukemia, came back, never got another Universal title shot. It's his title. He said it. It's my title. I never lost this title. And now he's finally getting the Universal title shot. Give him the belt. It was supposed to be Roman Reigns and Goldberg at WrestleMania. But Roman, because of the coronavirus and because he had 2 newborn children, a set of twins, he decided to step away from pro wrestling and take care of his family. But it's still his yard. It's still his era. Roman has still not received that Universal title shot. And tomorrow night at Payback, he's getting it. That's big. He just aligned himself with Paul Heyman. He's been gone for 6 months. He's the top star in the wrestling industry today. No matter what company you're talking about, Roman Reigns is the biggest star in professional wrestling. Don't kid yourself. There's nobody bigger right now than Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns went to AEW, you think that, who do you think would win between Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley? You know what I mean? Roman is the guy. He is the guy in professional wrestling right now. Love him or hate him. You have to respect him and you have to recognize who he is. Give him the belt. Right the ship. Make things, proper again. If it's between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles, well, yeah, maybe, give it to Daniel Bryan. But right now, it's not the case. It's Roman Reigns. It's The Fiend. It's Braun Strowman. On the other show, it's Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Give it to Roman. It's clearly his company right now. He's clearly the top guy. I see no reason why you shouldn't give that championship to Roman Reigns at Payback. Let's go. What are we waiting for? What do you think, Johnny? You don't want to see it?
I don't want to see it because like I was waiting for the Fiend to finally get the championship back after losing to Goldberg when he shouldn't have lost to Goldberg, and he finally gets it back, and now he's just going to lose it like 7 days later. It's kind of a crummy title reign, and I feel like no matter what, either like say the Fiend wins, say Roman wins, I think Braun Strowman takes the fall here. So I think regardless, we're going to get Fiend against Roman Reigns going forward. Who will be the champion is the big question. But it looks like it's going to be Roman, unfortunately.
I don't think that's unfortunate. I think that makes sense. I don't cry tears for the Fiend for his short title run, a week's title run. He gets another, another run that they can list, 3-time champion or whatever he is now. 3-time champion, right? He was WWE champion as Bray Wyatt, right? And this is now...
So I guess 3.
Yeah. So now he's a 3-time champion. It's Roman's turn. Bray had a long title reign. The last one that ended with Goldberg. It was what? October, end of October in Crown Jewel last year. And it lasted till what?
It was like what?
February?
February?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty long run. They gave him a run. And how good was it? Not very. So, it's time for Roman. They have to give him this run. He hasn't had the big, long title run. It hasn't happened. And right now, the WWE needs Roman Reigns. It feels like everything is right in the world when Roman Reigns shows up in the WWE. It's like, oh yeah, they've missed this guy. They need this guy. Is he the best wrestler that's ever lived? No, definitely not. But is he a big star in pro wrestling because of the way that he's been built over the years and because of who he is and how he performs? Absolutely. Roman Reigns is a top talent. You can't deny it, Johnny North. His yard. It's Roman time. And I love the association with Paul Heyman. Heyman can talk for Roman now. That's going to be fun. I'm enjoying this. I'm happy. I thought the finish of SummerSlam was great because Roman showed up out of nowhere. You'll never see it coming. And then I thought the finish of SmackDown this week, even better, with Roman Reigns there and then Paul Heyman sitting next to him. And this is going into a title match on Sunday. You're doing this on Friday, adding Paul Heyman into the mix. And then on Sunday, Roman has a big title match in the main event of Payback. We're like, how are they going to make Payback interesting? How are they going to do anything for Payback? A week after SummerSlam, and look, I'm hyped for it. This is a good pay-per-view. We've got Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman versus The Fiend. No holds barred. Triple threat match for the Universal title. Apollo Crews defending the U.S. title against Bobby Lashley, which makes way more sense than all those MVP matches. Bayley and Sasha Banks defending against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Okay. Kind of a weird tag
disagree with
team.
that one.
Yeah, it's weird, but we'll get to it. Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. Yes. Dominic and Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins and Murphy for some reason, even though they just had that match on Raw. I guess because of Retribution interrupting it.
Right.
We're going to finish it at Payback. And then Matt Riddle versus King Corbin. I was kind of hoping for Sami Zayn to be added to this card, like Sammy, AJ, Jeff Hardy triple threat, maybe, because it seemed like they were going down that road. Sami Zayn came back as well. That was really exciting. That was maybe a little more exciting than Roman Reigns coming back, for me, because Sami Zayn is a great wrestler and, Montrealer as well, which he talked about in his promo. Doesn't hurt. But I was excited to see Sammy, and he comes out, confronts Jeff Hardy. Sammy's got the Intercontinental title because he never lost that belt. He stepped away. Kayla asked him why. He said, for various reasons. I think it was for coronavirus, but who knows? Maybe it was other reasons too. Sami Zayn back now. Jeff Hardy is the Intercontinental Champion. There's got to be a match there between Sammy and Jeff, but AJ Styles is involved as well because he claims that Jeff Hardy stole the Intercontinental title from him last week when he hit him in the head with the knee brace that he needed because AJ Styles attacked his knee. I mean, it was really on his knee, but he still got kicked with the metal brace in the head, which led to Jeff Hardy winning, which also led to Jeff Hardy beating Shinsuke Nakamura. Jeff Hardy kicked Nakamura, or kneed Nakamura, I guess, in the body more with the knee brace and then hit the Swanton to retain the Intercontinental title on SmackDown. But I was hoping for Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy triple threat for the Intercontinental title for this pay-per-view. And, you know, it's a 6-match card. Why not? Can they add that? I mean, you know, that would be pretty fun, right, John? I mean, no one would say no to that match. That sounds pretty good. Determine the real Intercontinental Champion. Let's get it over with. Let's settle it. Let's go.
It's going to be a good match whenever it happens. The problem is, though, like what they have 6-7 matches already for this pay-per-view, much like SummerSlam. So it sounds like it's already pretty much set. And they have this thing where they like to make Raw and SmackDown a big show. So maybe they're saving that for a big SmackDown Raw show. Also, they have another pay-per-view at the end of next month, so that comes up pretty quick as well.
They do? What's the next pay-per-view?
I think it's going to be Hell in a Cell.
I don't know if that's official, though. I don't know when Hell in a Cell is.
I think it's the 27th is supposed to be pay-per-view.
It says it's going to be first week of October, but the WWE hasn't given a date yet for Hell in a Cell. Technically, on the WWE's calendar, Payback is the last pay-per-view. Forever. Technically. Because they haven't announced Hell in a Cell, they haven't announced Survivor Series, they haven't announced anything really after Payback. Hell in a Cell does not have a date, which is odd, because usually after a WWE pay-per-view, you know when the next pay-per-view is, like, right away, right? We usually sit here and know. Like, going into a pay-per-view, previewing one, we're like, well, they might be setting up this for that. But there's no official date for WWE Hell in a Cell in October, which is strange. Will it even be in October? Won't it be in September? I know they've done 2 pay-per-views now in August, but this is going to be another August pay-per-view here, Payback, August 30th. So do they do something in September? It's weird, right? It's weird that they don't have a date for Hell in a Cell. Can they even do Hell in a Cell in the Amway Center? Is there room?
I would think so. It looks big enough.
Yeah,
why not?
It does.
I'm sure they can figure it out.
Yeah. Weird though, right? That there's no announced date for Hell in a Cell.
Well, they've done this before in the past with the other pay-per-views as well. We weren't sure about Extreme Rules, right, until, like, I think Money in the Bank. So they're not 100% sure about how everything's going to work out here, I guess. But I think by tomorrow, it'll all be figured out. Let's remember, too, they've gone to matches being, like, they have an idea for a match. They don't know what the heck the match is until they show up and do the match. So it's pretty much just day by day with WWE, it seems.
That is definitely true. Crazy. So I think Roman's going to win the title. I want Roman to win the title. What do you think? Who's going to win?
Well, unfortunately, I think Roman's going to win, but I want the Fiend to win. So
why?
That's how I'm looking at it. Because the Fiend just won the title. I'm not big on these champions that lose right away. I think it sucks.
Well, he won the title because, Roman wasn't around. The only reason why these guys are even in the mix is because Roman's not around. You know? Now that Roman's here, it's time for him to take the belt. And then as soon as Roman is done, the Fiend and Braun Strowman are going to beat up Roman really badly after the match, and then Otis will cash in and take the title from Roman Reigns. All right? You want to see short title reigns, John? You hate short title reigns? You're going to get some super short title reigns. You're going to have the Fiend have it for a week, drop it to Roman, and then Roman will drop it immediately to Otis. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Otis would have a better chance catching on the Raw champion, doing something like that, because they're allowed to jump ship to either show, right? Still, they have 4 tries to do that or whatever, so that rule is still in effect. He should use that, because I think he had a better chance of trying to beat Roman Reigns at this point. Coming back and he's going to lose the title right away, I don't think so.
It would be kind of funny, though. You'd be like, what? Why? Then Roman's like really mad at Otis. That would be a good way to turn Roman heel if you want to do it with Paul Heyman, right? Have Roman just lose to Otis, and then Roman chase Otis and just like beat the hell out of Otis, and you know, Mandy could go with Roman and Paul Heyman, you know? That'd be good.
He had the champion down at the end of SummerSlam, and Otis did nothing, so I'm not expecting Otis to do much this Sunday.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, I explained it. I was like, well, Otis is just afraid of Roman Reigns. That's why he's not cashing in now on The Fiend, even though The Fiend is beat up. Otis doesn't want to go down there and get a spear from Roman, because Roman's spearing everybody, brother. All right, so it's Roman's time. We expect Roman to win. I'm excited. I'm hyped for this. Let's go. Let's get this over with. Let's get Roman on top. Dominic and Ray versus Seth and Murphy. I thought the match on Raw was okay. A little weird. Dominic's a little weird as a wrestler. You know, I don't know. Like, the moves he pulls off, they don't seem authentic. There's something missing about it. He's got no urgency, you know? He just looks like he's doing the moves that he's been taught. It doesn't seem like they're his moves yet, you know? He seems inexperienced in there.
Well, he is, though. I mean, that was his second ever match, and it'll be his third ever match, second pay-per-view match this Sunday. So he's just going to have to learn really quick in order to get through your harsh criticism of him. But that's probably not going to end for a while.
Right? I mean, he's not ready for prime time. As a wrestling student, he seems to show promise, but I don't know. I watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they have the kind of young boys at the beginning. Those guys could wrestle circles around Dominic Mysterio, you know? And the young lions as well, like the guys in the New Japan Dojo. If you ever watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, you'll know that like the first couple of matches is just like guys in black trunks with like no haircut, no ring entrance, no nothing. They're the young lions. They're the young guys, they're the trainees, and they wrestle the opening matches with like some legends, some guys in their 50s that have been around for a long time, that are big stars, formerly, you know, in the main event, but now not, you know, main event guys anymore. And that's what they do in the opening matches, and the young boys always lose, but they're in there and they're learning, and you accept that. But they have a certain set of moves that they're allowed to do, like the stuff that Dominic Mysterio is doing in the WWE to Seth Rollins would never be allowed as a young lion in New Japan. And I just think that they have a more, just a smarter way of doing it, of integrating the young wrestlers into their company. They would never do a thing like Dominic Mysterio because it just doesn't make sense, you know? I think the best thing for Dominic Mysterio would be to go learn in a New Japan dojo type scenario, but instead the WWE is putting him on TV right away, and I don't know if that's his father's decision or what, but he's not ready, you know? He's just not ready, and it could hurt him long term because people will probably start to reject him, and it's hard to recover from that. I mean, you could hang in there and deal with being lower on the card and getting beat and then come back up and maybe eventually make something of yourself in pro wrestling over several years, but you might also fizzle out. You know, when you're put in these big matches, you have a SummerSlam match with Seth Rollins in your first ever WWE match. I don't know if he's going to have the stomach for, you know, getting kicked in the face by Sheamus and losing in 2 minutes, you know? And eventually, those are the kinds of things that he's going to have to go through if he's going to be a real WWE superstar and not just Ray's son who tags along with Ray and is part of the Ray and Seth storyline, right? So I think NXT would be a better place for him. Maybe when this whole storyline is done, he can go down to NXT and he can be on that show and he can learn and he can be like a semi-star there and work there for a long time and over years, you know, refine himself, get better, and then come back to the main roster and be a real star in wrestling. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying that he's not there right now. It's obvious he's not there right now, so we're going to have to watch him, but I don't think it's necessarily good for his development to be on the main roster right now. I think NXT would be a better place for him. It's just logical.
Well, I think it's fantastic development if you're wrestling top stars right away. Like, maybe you're out of, you know, your league in a sense, but you are going to become a better wrestler because you're wrestling the best of the best pretty much. And you're pretty much learning from, like, the top producers. Like, there's a different way they run Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, as you've seen, right? So this is better for him because this is going to make him a bigger star. And, yeah, maybe he'll be a better wrestler wrestling NXT, but that doesn't make you a great WWE superstar, though. As you've seen with Keith Lee, how he debuted, and, wow, all I saw was negative reactions from that.
Yeah, I want to get to that because I don't really understand. But, you know, what does Dominic do after the Seth thing is over? That's, you know, that's going to determine what happens with Dominic in his wrestling career. Like, what is the next story for Dominic Mysterio? Is there one? I don't know.
I think so. I think you have him and Ray go for the Raw Tag Team titles.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to get those titles on Garza and Andrade for that to happen, right? Because the Street Profits against Ray and Dominic doesn't really make sense. And they keep winning. They've held those titles for a long-ass time. Montez won this week. He beat Angel Garza. Bianca and Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott beat... Who was it? It was the Iconics and
Zelina.
Yeah, Zelina, right? So that team, the Street Profits and Bianca getting all the over on Angel, Andrade, and Zelina, and have been for quite some time. It's kind of why I don't care about that, because it's like, yeah, we've settled this, right? Several times. Why are we still in this feud? Seems like we've settled this in several different matches where the Street Profits always win, except that one time where Zelina poisoned Montez. Every time that the Street Profits and Garza, the Street Profits really can't catch a break. Like, everything they do is awful. I don't think they're bad. I think in the ring they're pretty good. On the microphone they're okay. That splash thing that Montez does is really impressive. The guy is good. You know, I like him. I like them both, but jeez, they did that Viking Raiders thing for so long, and that was awful. Now they're just wrestling the Garza and Andrade connection over and over again. It doesn't make me care about the Street Profits. I know they're good, but I just don't give a damn about them, you know? It's like Cedric Alexander. I know he's good, but I struggle to care. I see him in the ring, I'm like, yeah, he's good, but I don't think he's going to win. They're not going to do anything with him. They don't give you a reason to care about a lot of their people, you know? It's too bad.
Well, they're trying to establish the Street Profits. They're still a pretty new tag team, so they're trying to show like how great of a team they are. The fact that they can face these teams over and over and still win all the time, just to show you that they are a great tag team. They can have a really good run instead of doing this whole like win, lose, and like the wins and losses don't really matter in the end. So this just goes to show you they are a dominant tag team. I still think in the ring though, like, they do a lot of their spots really well, but there are times it feels like they're kind of lost in the ring a bit. Mm-hmm. And I just feel it's because they don't really wrestle that much in terms of singles. I find you see that more in their singles matches than tag team matches. Tag team matches, I think they've pretty much figured out their formula, how to work, but singles, it feels like they're a little bit more lost.
They don't have a ton of experience. They haven't been in the wrestling business for that long. They were brought up from NXT very quickly. They got hot in NXT, and WWE was like, yep, let's bring those guys up. Let's, they brought them up quick. They didn't spend a lot of time in developmental, so,
Well, I get it. They can cut a promo. Not a lot of people can cut promos in WWE at all, so that's what they stood out.
That's exactly what happened. They could cut a promo, and it was like, oh, yeah, let's do that. Okay, elsewhere at Payback, we have Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. Let's get to Keith Lee's Raw debut. What did people not like about it? The new entrance, the new theme song, and the new ring gear, right?
That's definitely two.
What else?
Then there's the promo.
The promo? What's wrong with the promo?
Well, he went from being like somewhat of a badass to like back to his old like sophisticated Keith Lee, like very smooth talking Keith Lee, which is still all right, but like it was kind of out of place for this moment, I found. And I think a lot of people found it was out of place. Yeah,
it wasn't a great promo, but I haven't seen a lot of great promos from Keith Lee, so I kind of figured that was par for the course with this guy. He's good. I like him and all, and I like the new ring gear. I complained about his old ring gear a lot because, those shorts just didn't look great, and it was like way too much penis. I've talked about this, man. Keith Lee's shorts, like
I don't remember this actually.
What? I talked about it so much, man, on the show. I feel like I've gone over this like too much. Like Keith Lee's old shorts, I remember seeing him in NXT and I'm being like, why is that material so thin? It looked very indie. It looked like he was just wearing these cheaply made pants or little ring shorts that he was wearing. And like you could see like, protrusions going on. Like, sometimes you'll notice that, but I don't really notice it with most pro wrestlers, even though they're wearing tiny little skimpy things. But Keith Lee is like, yo, what's going on there, man? Why is there so much action happening? It's like maybe Keith Lee has a huge penis and he just can't hold it in or whatever. But if he does, I mean, nobody needs to see that when you're wrestling. It's weird. So I thought his material was like too thin, and I thought his gear was weak before, and I thought that his shorts that he was wearing looked pretty cool. I like the shorts. I didn't love the shirt, though. I think he can go just shorts, no shirt. He didn't usually wrestle in a shirt. I guess Vince saw him and was like, we got to cover up that belly. He doesn't like to expose any of his fat guys. You notice, they all wear shirts. Is there any fat guy that doesn't wear a shirt? Like, Bray Wyatt wears a shirt. Kevin Owens wears a shirt. I'm not saying that they're fat guys, but I'm saying that they don't have six-pack abs like pretty much everybody else on the roster, right? Like if you look at kind of their chubbier guys, the bigger men on the roster, Vince covers up all of their bellies. I guess Otis when he wrestles, does he wear a shirt? He wears like a singlet type deal, right? But sometimes he walks around. He takes off the things and then exposes, but that's kind of part of his gimmick too, right? Like part of his gimmick is he's got a belly, he rubs it, he's eating ham, right? Like that's part of his thing. So that's Raiders different. Are exposed. What? Viking Raiders?
Ivar's got a bit of...
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, anyways, you explain why Keith Lee was wearing a shirt then. Why was he wearing a shirt? To match the pants? I don't get it. I don't think he needs a shirt. I thought he looked better without a shirt, looked more intimidating. He looks kind of weird with the shirt on. I don't know.
I think they just liked the outfit. They thought, it matched. They thought it looked good. And he can always change it, right? And I'm sure he probably will change it because for whatever reason, people hated it. I didn't really hate the outfit like you, but if people hate it, apparently they're going to change. Apparently they're changing the music already too. Like I didn't hate the music. Like I expected new music. Don't most people get new music when they come to the main roster? But apparently that's the end of the world now.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess people like the Bask in His Glory song. I thought it was a little bit weird. I thought it was a little cheesy. Just repeating Bask in His Glory. It was like, all right, we get it. That's your catchphrase. Could we have some normal music? I thought it was good to have a music change. I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did. I don't really understand why everybody got so up in arms with the debut of Keith Lee. I thought it was pretty good. He wrestled Randy Orton in his Raw debut.
And lost, though.
by disqualification. I mean, he lost, but he didn't get pinned. He didn't get tapped. Drew McIntyre attacked Randy Orton, and that's why Keith Lee lost the match. Not bad.
Again, I don't really have a problem with it, but I could see why a lot of people had problems, and I understood their problems with it. It's just, it's one match. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of his career right here. He's probably going to win at the pay-per-view, I think.
See, I don't think he will. Because, well, unless Drew interferes and costs Randy the match, right? Because I just don't see Randy losing clean to Keith Lee when he's so clearly going to go up against a WWE champion again whenever the next pay-per-view happens, right? Like, Randy and Drew will wrestle again. Drew was taken out by Randy this week with 3 punt kicks. He kicked him twice, and then Drew came back and attacked Randy, and then Randy came back and attacked Drew and kicked him again in the head, and then Drew was taken away in an ambulance. So Drew, I don't know. I think he died on the way to the hospital, so we're going to have to crown a new WWE champion. Rest in peace, Drew McIntyre.
Well, those kicks were awful, absolutely awful. Some of the worst punt kicks you've ever seen, because now that Raw's live and you can't really edit it that well, they did not do a good job of hiding that stuff. It was really bad.
Yeah, it was not great. Not the worst thing I saw this week. We'll get to the Reba and Penelope versus Big Swole match later, John. Jeez.
Yeah, that was pretty awful too.
That was probably the worst match in AEW history, I'd say, so far.
No. There's no worse. There's worse.
Really? Yeah. Maybe I missed them. Maybe they were on Dark. I don't know. But that was,
Possibly.
Wow, shockingly bad. Anyways, Keith Lee, I don't think beats Randy because Randy's going to wrestle Drew, right? Randy versus Drew for the WWE title is going to happen again. So I think Randy gets the win. And that, I think, is the problem. Is that I think Randy will probably beat Keith Lee. So Keith Lee coming into the main roster will drop 2 straight to Randy Orton.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I mean, it just goes to show you, though, wins and losses. Randy, regardless of the loss, he's still probably going to face Drew McIntyre for a WWE title. It just goes to show you it doesn't matter if you win or lose matches. It's happened so many times where someone loses and then they go on and wrestle with the WWE champion.
Do you think maybe Keith Lee wins and then inserts himself into the WWE Championship mix and we do a triple threat to kind of change things up because we did just see Drew versus Randy? Like maybe the next time around Drew defends the title, Keith Lee is involved too? That'd be fun.
It'd be nice, but I mean, we're coming off a triple threat match here at Payback, and then we're going to do another triple threat match the next pay-per-view. It's a little too much. I'm not a big fan of triple threat matches, always in the main events all the time.
Yeah, but, we don't know when the next pay-per-view will be. We're talking about October. That's a while, man. Wait a whole month, so.
I just don't think you want to see Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton 1-1 ever again. That's the thing.
That's right. So put Keith Lee in there to make it better, because that match at SummerSlam sucked. Okay. So I think Randy will win. You think Keith Lee will win. We will find out on the watch-along together Sunday night when we watch Payback. Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio, the King of Mysteries, taking on Seth Rollins and Murphy in a tag team match, playa. And, of course, on Raw this coming Monday night, Rey will go one-on-one with Seth Rollins, which seems unnecessary. At the end of Raw this week, it was the tag team match in the main event, Rey and Dominic versus Seth and Murphy. Retribution shows up. Seth and Murphy just back away, and Retribution beats up Dominic and Rey. Seth seemed mighty confident that Retribution would not go and turn on him when they seem to have been attacking anybody and everybody in WWE. Is that mysterious?
Well, I think it's just overconfidence. That's pretty much it.
because he's the Messiah, and they recognize that. They posed for the first time. Retribution, usually when they attack and then they run away, right? That's been what they have done this entire time. This time, they attacked and then they posed to the video screens in the Thunderdome. And it looked like 3 men and 3 women under those hoods. I think that they figured out who Retribution is. If we see them again, which we didn't see them on SmackDown, which is odd because they've been primarily a SmackDown group. But if we see them again, and it's a 6-person group, and it looks to be 3 men and 3 women, then we could start figuring out, okay, who are these people? Then I think we can make it official that the WWE has figured out what they're doing with Retribution. Because them posing and standing there for a while, and the camera kind of panning on them and getting a good look, seemed like they were telling you, this is a 6-person group. Did it seem like that to you? Was that the feel that you got from the end of Raw?
Well, that's the feel I got for this show. However, all the other shows, it feels like numbers keep jumping up and down. So I'm not 100% sure if they're going to keep this because we didn't see it on SmackDown. So, yeah, that's for what I got on Raw. And it seems like it's probably going to be mostly NXT people. And if it's going to be that, like, they need someone really strong to be the leader. Someone who can obviously do a lot of the talking. And someone who's really going to attract a lot of attention. I can't think of anyone in NXT right now who could do that.
Me neither. Not a single person.
They really they got to bring somebody back that from like WWE Past or something.
Who
to lead this group?
Who? What? I mean, best case scenario, CM Punk, right? Like if you had to pick and you could pick anybody and reality didn't matter, CM Punk. Other than that, Daniel Bryan would make sense.
Well, I can always just throw in because he was on NXT this week and will be on NXT next week. Wade Barrett's back, so
he is.
You could always, yeah, he's on the announced team now on NXT.
Why?
Why not?
Yeah. So just because he was a leader of Nexus. I mean, please no. Come on. I don't want to. It's Retribution.
It's as much reason as CM Punk.
Well, no, I mean, there's more reason for CM Punk because like he's actually good. He's fun to watch. He's entertaining. Whereas Wade Barrett, not so much. Commentary is just about enough for him. I don't need to see more.
Well, hopefully we'll see Retribution. Hopefully we'll get this revealed sooner than later because, like, maybe not yet, but eventually it's going to start to drag this whole, like, just random attack stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need some sort of reveal eventually.
Does Retribution get involved again with the Ray and Seth match on Raw? Do they hate Rey Mysterio? Is that a thing, or I don't know. I'm not sure. And then what happens at Payback? So Sunday, they're going to wrestle a tag team match, and then Monday, it's going to be Ray versus Seth one-on-one. Who's to say that Ray and Seth will even survive the tag team match at Payback and be able to wrestle Monday night? The WWE has already told you that they'll both be fine. So Ray won't lose another eye at Payback because he's got a match with Seth. Unless he does lose another eye, in which case I guess Dominic could replace him in the match. I like Ray wrestling with like the eye patch mask now. Still fully wrestling, just, one eye. Dominic and Ray versus Seth and Murphy. I think Dominic and Ray get the win. This is, a nice feel-good moment. Dominic lost at SummerSlam. They both got beat up on Raw. I think Dominic and Ray get the win. Ray and Dominic, double 619 on Murphy. 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring. Dominic maybe even pins him.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I think they're going to end it with some sort of tag team combination from Ray and Dominic. It'll be a nice bounce back moment for them. But I also think if that's the case, Seth's probably going to get the win on Raw then.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't really care. This story has just kind of gone on and on and on. And just, the match that they had, the tag team match on Raw, I hope they change something for the match at Payback here. Ray was taking most of the heat in the match, which didn't make any kind of... Why would Ray take the heat? Shouldn't Dominic take the heat? And, if Ray's getting beat up, as a father, if these guys are beating you up, you're gonna tag your son in to come and help you? That doesn't make sense to me. To me, Dominic should be in the match. He should be taking the heat. He should be selling. And then Ray, I understand you want Ray in the match for most of the match because he can actually wrestle, but for the story of the match, it's kind of well, Ray needs help from his son, and then Dominic comes in with the hot tag and has to do a bunch of moves, and it's kind of why is he hitting clotheslines on Buddy Murphy, and why is Buddy falling after every one? Those clotheslines look terrible. Dominic's arms don't look like he could knock you down, so why is this it didn't make sense. Those clotheslines from Dominic were really bad. I felt bad for Buddy Murphy having to bump and feed for him, It didn't make sense to me. Why are you bumping and feeding for Dominic Mysterio? It should have been Ray. Ray makes more sense to get the hot tag. He's Ray. Of course, Dominic's getting beat up. He gets his dad to come in and save him because his dad is Rey Mysterio. But instead, Ray is getting beat up, and he tags his son in to help him. I was just I'm not really buying this story of the match. I'd like it to be the other way around on pay-per-view. No?
Well, that's it. It's probably going to be that to keep the matches kind of different. Because that's the way it worked on Raw, and for the pay-per-view, it's going to work a little bit differently. Also, this was Ray's comeback match, right? He hadn't wrestled in a little bit, so he probably wanted to wrestle more.
Yeah, but Ray taking the heat and then going for his son to help him, it was just nah. Anyways, that match is going to happen at Payback. What else do we have? Bayley and Sasha versus Shayna and Nia Jax. Sasha lost the Raw Women's title to Asuka last week at SummerSlam. She had a rematch with her in a lumberjack match on Raw. They used to call it lumberjill matches when it was a women's lumberjack match in WWE, but I guess they've reverted back to lumberjack match. That match between Asuka and Sasha was all kinds of messed up. At one point, Sasha's outside of the ring, and she's got Asuka, and Bayley's there as a lumberjack, but Bayley's just helping Sasha beat up on Asuka. And the other lumberjacks who are around the ring, but at other, sides of the ring, they're looking on, and they seem upset about it, but they don't do anything about it.
Right.
They don't do any. They could. It's kind of their job to do something about it in a lumberjack match. They all seem upset. There's a whole gang of them. It seems like the whole gang of them could have stopped Sasha and Bayley, two people, but they all kind of let Sasha and Bayley double team Asuka. And then eventually maybe one or two of them got in their face, but that was odd. And then Shayna winds up helping Asuka by stopping Bayley from interfering in the match even further, which finally took a while for somebody to stop Bayley from interfering. It was strange. Those people are supposed to kind of maintain order around the ring, and it's just kind of Bayley and Sasha doing the double teams, but then, when Bayley couldn't help Sasha even further, that's when Asuka managed to take advantage and put Sasha in the Asuka lock, and then Sasha tapped out, and Asuka retained the Raw Women's title. It was weird. It was a little bit of a weird lumberjack match. Not my favorite.
Well, they book lumberjack matches terribly in WWE. I don't know if you remember the lumberjack match, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, where they pretty much just beat up all the lumberjacks, made them all look like garbage. Two guys can beat up like 20 guys.
Yeah.
But apparently that happens in WWE. And you just see more stuff that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because let's put over our main stars and these jabronis just have to take it. That's it.
Yeah. The problem is, a lot of those jabronis that were lumberjacks also had matches on Raw. So you're supposed to look at them as jabronis in this instance, but then later on when they have their own matches, you're supposed to care? It's tough, You don't do the talent any favors when you have them just looking so stupid and scared of Sasha and Bayley. It's not good. Sasha and Bayley taking on Shayna and Nia. I don't think Sasha and Bayley dropped the tag titles to them. I think Shayna and Nia, they're like a makeshift tag team. They hate each other, but they realize that they're strong enough that if they put their forces together, they could dominate the women's tag team division. But I don't think it's going to work. I think they're going to argue, and they're going to fight each other, and then Bayley and Sasha are going to win, and they're going to retain the titles. This is not a real tag team.
Well, I just want to say this was really poorly put together. Well, one of the worst things I think I saw on Raw this week, I think without question, the way Shayna, I think the week prior, saw Nia beat up her friend and just confronts her, doesn't attack her or anything, just confronts her right to her face, complains to her. They just jaw jack to start off their little confrontation, and then they just start fighting because Nia interferes in Shayna's match, and they just out of nowhere just stop fighting because they hear Bayley and Sasha telling them, "Oh yeah, beat each other up, and then they just stop, and then look at them, and now we have a tag team match. It was just really bad how it was done.
Yeah, not good. Doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's clear they had no idea what to do for Bayley and Sasha. It seems like one of those things where they announced that Bayley and Sasha would be defending their tag team titles at Payback after defending their singles titles at SummerSlam, but they didn't have an opponent in mind when they made that announcement, and maybe only came up with the opponents Monday night or Monday afternoon when they were putting Raw together. That's what it felt like to me. I don't think that when they announced weeks ago that the week after SummerSlam at Payback, Bayley and Sasha would defend the tag team titles, I don't think they had any idea who their opponents would be. Right? Classic WWE.
Well, I saw a promotional pic that said it was supposed to be Sasha and Bayley defending against Shayna and Asuka, which kind of made sense because they wrestled them right before.
Yeah.
So that would have actually been a good idea, but for whatever reason they changed it and put Nia in the match instead, because I guess, there's a storyline between Shayna and Nia, so that works better, I guess, but it actually makes it worse.
It does. Shayna and Asuka is kind of a super team, and you could have friction there, and then, splinter off into Shayna versus Asuka for the Raw Women's title. You even had the match this week between Sasha and Asuka where Shayna actually helped Asuka win by protecting her from Bayley. There's a lot going on there with Shayna, but for some reason you got to put Nia Jax in there because Nia and Shayna have been doing their thing on Raw for a little while. I'm not really looking forward to this match. I think Bayley and Sasha retain. Do you think Shayna and Nia might win?
Oh, they might win. I hope they don't win, though. And
yeah.
I'd go with Sasha and Bayley over this. I mean, but they've done stupid things in WWE, so I wouldn't be surprised. However, I just don't get behind Shayna after that WrestleMania fiasco where she didn't win the women's title when she should have. So I'm not going to get behind her here.
Yeah, I don't believe in them winning. I don't really want to see them win. I'm not really interested in that. I'd rather Bayley and Sasha retain those titles and stay on top as the tag team champions. That way you get to see them together on both shows. Otherwise, you can't really do that. You need them as tag team champions so that they can be on Raw and SmackDown together, right? And I don't think you need to stop that anytime soon. So
not yet, anyways. Like you said, not anytime soon, but I think you want to keep teasing that friction. I mean, this match is just going to build more friction, but I'd still have them barely escape with a victory somehow.
Yeah.
But build up the fact that, yeah, they are probably going to lose soon. You just need a better team, an actual team, to face them.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that team will be. That team has yet to reveal themselves, right? You look at the WWE Women's Tag Team Division landscape. Who's a team? You know, unless you turn the Iconics babyface, I don't think you're going to do much with Liv and Ruby, the newly formed Riot Squad. Not many tag teams to believe in now that Kairi Sane's gone, not with Asuka anymore. It's Bayley and Sasha. It's the Bayley and Sasha show for a long time. And I think similar to what you were saying about the Street Profits holding on to the Raw Tag Team titles for so long, I think they might just let Bayley and Sasha run with it for like a year. Why not? There's nobody else that's more worthy of the Women's Tag Team titles right now, so stay with them.
Yeah, the only one who I could see like posing a threat would be someone with Charlotte to take down Sasha and Bayley. I could see something like that happen because Charlotte can beat anybody. So you gotta wait for that to happen, though. And Charlotte's supposed to come back sooner than later, though. No?
Yeah. Man, that Charlotte and Zelina Vega team would be quite something. I'm telling you, put those two together, they'd be a hell of a team to go up against Bayley and Sasha, but probably not. Maybe Charlotte and Bianca, something like that. That seems
That'd be
more
great.
likely. Yeah. That'd be a good team, too. Jeez. The power and strength in that team. By God. Good God almighty. They could pull off some pretty cool double-team power moves together, right? Like, I think Bianca and Charlotte would actually be a pretty badass tag team, too.
Yeah, I could easily see them beat Bayley and Sasha. It'd make a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. They'd be good. I like Bianca. I think she's awesome. Okay. How about let's do Apollo Crews versus Bobby Lashley here. For the US title, Apollo Crews defending. They had a arm wrestling match on Raw this week that Apollo Crews won. He stepped on Bobby Lashley's foot and then he slammed his arm down. And Mark Henry, who was hosting the thing and the judge of it, deemed that Apollo was the winner, even though Apollo seemed to cheat to win the arm wrestling contest, which upset Bobby Lashley tremendously, so much that he brought his whole team, MVP and Shelton Benjamin, to the Raw Underground, where he proceeded to beat up some jabronis, and even Dolph Ziggler. Bobby and Ziggler had probably the best match on Raw Underground history so far, right? I think it was the best match so far.
Was it even a match, though? Did it even count that? Or
I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's unclear like how these matches begin and end. Shane McMahon jumps around and yells some things. It's weird. I heard a bell this week. I don't think they'd had a bell before. Dolph Ziggler was there. He had a little thing with Bobby Lashley. Then another jobber showed up. He got knocked out by Bobby Lashley. Then they were still there on Raw Underground. Bobby Lashley beat up Cedric Alexander, put an armbar on him, refused to release the armbar. Then the Viking Raiders showed up to stop Bobby Lashley, and Shelton and MVP then jumped in, and they all beat up the Viking Raiders. Hurt Business standing tall, Shelton, MVP, and Bobby. Bobby and his team running wild this week on Raw. None of that was particularly good. I thought Bobby and Dolph actually was pretty good. Might have been the best match on Raw, even though, not really a match. If you look at the show, I think Dolph and Bobby was probably my favorite match, even though I wouldn't fully call it a match. But what they did there was my favorite bit of wrestling on the entire show. So give that to Raw Underground. I think that was my favorite bit of wrestling action. Because it seemed good and it seemed snug and legit and they were doing some real wrestling stuff. It was nice. It looked good. Bobby and Dolph know what they're doing, man. Those guys are two legit badasses. They know how to fight for real, So I like that.
Now they just have to actually build stuff properly, and I make you actually want to see that, build it up, instead of just randomly having this stuff happen.
Yeah, they're not really building up anything on Raw Underground. It seems more like a promo segment to kind of showcase talent more than a match segment, right? Like when they go in, it's just like a bunch of people squashing. There's no bell. It's not clear. It's kind of a match, but it isn't really. It's weird, Raw Underground. I'm almost surprised that it's still going on, but I'm more surprised that was my favorite match on Raw this week. Was that the best match on Raw, John? Like, am I crazy?
Well, I'm trying to think of a really good match this week on Raw, and I can't really think of one, so it's very possible. There were moments on Raw. There were interesting moments. The Aleister Black heel turn was interesting, but I don't know if there were great matches, though.
Yeah, Kevin Owens had Aleister Black on his show, the Kevin Owens show. Aleister was giving him the silent treatment, and then he attacked him, and he kicked him in the head. I think it's too early to do that match at Payback, right? We'll probably see it on Raw or something that'll play out over the next few weeks or months.
Well, that's it. Now we have to find out why Aleister did that. But I think it kind of made sense because Kevin knocked on his door. I think that's going to be the reason why he did it, right? Kevin wanted to pick a fight, so that's the way Aleister looked at it, I guess.
But Kevin, when he knocked on his door, he was just checking to see if he was still going to appear on the Kevin Owens show. It wasn't to pick a fight. Anyways, it's stupid. Who cares? Whatever. It's not great, man. Akira Tozawa became the new 24/7 champion again, beating Shelton, Truth, and Cedric in a fatal four-way. Tozawa benefiting from the distraction of his ninjas. Yep, I said that. That's a real thing that happened. Lana and Natty cut an in-ring promo. Natty using something that I'm pretty sure I invented. Best of all time, the boat. Didn't I say that on like a watch-along or something? Wasn't I talking about the boat? Best of all time? She stole that from me, right?
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Natty stole that gimmick from me. She's using it.
She steals stuff.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Natty.
No credit.
So they were making fun of Mickie James, and then Mickie James shows up and beats up both Lana and Natty. I kicked them both. It was just like, bam, bam. And then she stands up. She's like, ha, ha, ha. Like, what? Doesn't really, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
Well, they just didn't have anything. They didn't have a match or anything. It's just, the stupid promo that just leads to Mickie coming out to beat them up, and that's it. They just didn't have anything for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, they had absolutely nothing for them. It was strange, and it doesn't really make them look like a strong heel group when the babyface they're feuding with takes them both out at once in a 2-on-1 situation right off the bat at the beginning of this whatever storyline that you're trying to do or half-heartedly attempting. Matt Riddle versus King Corbin. Speaking of half-hearted storylines, King Corbin has the King's Bounty on Matt Riddle, which is some sort of bounty on his head. I guess he wants somebody to kill Matt Riddle. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, Shorty G has been attacking Matt Riddle quite a bit, and it seems like he's not yet been given the King's Ransom, King's Bounty. I don't know what it is. Some money. Some money that Baron Corbin, because apparently he's a real king and he's very rich, and he's going to give to somebody to maim Matt Riddle, possibly kill Matt Riddle. It's not clear how far he wants them to go with Matt Riddle. It doesn't seem like just a mere attack, a physical assault is enough, because Shorty G has done that on numerous occasions, yet continues to chase that money of Corbin's. Quite strange. I wonder what you have to do to get the King's Ransom. I'm assuming kill Matt Riddle. King Corbin will attempt to collect his own ransom at Payback in a match with Matt Riddle. That I do hope is the end of this stupid fucking storyline that we can move on with right away. Matt Riddle should win. Beats Corbin. Let's keep going. I like the little match that Riddle and Shorty G had on SmackDown this week. I thought it was pretty good. Not very long. A pretty short match with Shorty G. Riddle wins via pinfall after the Bro Derek. Those two guys can wrestle, but they were given 3 minutes to go, so not much, but what I saw was good. A couple of nice suplexes.
Yeah, well, you just make the best of what you have, pretty much, and that's what they did. Like, it's kind of crummy for Gable because he's a great wrestler. It seems like he's not getting those opportunities. Unfortunately, the opportunities he's getting is just really to enhance Baron Corbin. It's not so much himself. It's unfortunate. It feels like he'd be better actually out of WWE somewhere else, or they'd actually like showcase him in a better light. Because it feels like in WWE, he's just one of those guys, almost like Cesaro in a sense, where they'll highlight him in some capacity, but not so much in terms of like a top star.
You look at Cesaro's career, though, he's held a lot of gold, a lot of tag team gold. He's been U.S. champion. I think he's been Intercontinental champion. Shorty G hasn't come close to any of that stuff. I mean, I think that's an overestimation of where they hold Shorty G. I don't think he's at Cesaro level. He's very good. Cesaro could have been a world champion many times over. They just never went there. But Shorty G, I don't think he's, I don't see him as a future multi-time tag team champion. What's he going to, and they job him out. They called him Shorty G. They called him Chad Gable, and then they changed his name to Shorty G. His whole gimmick is he's short, and people make short jokes about him, and then they beat him. And he's a heel. Like, they couldn't have buried a guy anymore. And I'm not really sure why they've buried him so much. He can wrestle his ass off. I thought he'd be a WrestleMania main eventer at this point. The guy is so good in the ring. He's got personality. He can talk. He's just not as tall as some other guys on the roster. But he's not even the shortest guy on the roster. It's weird. It's weird how they shit on Shorty G on Chad Gable. Because the guy's a legit amateur wrestler, an Olympian. He can really wrestle. He's like the second coming of Kurt Angle. And they don't do shit with him. He should leave the company. Because they are wasting this guy. I don't know, man. I hope he's making a ton of money for being there. Because his wrestling career is fucking going nowhere in the WWE. And it is ridiculous. He's so good. If he were allowed to go, for 10, 15 minutes. Remember when he wrestled AJ Styles and it was like, oh, shit. The guy's tremendous. You remember American Alpha? How hot they were as a tag team? And nothing happened. Nothing happened.
I remember a great match you had with Jack Gallagher on 205. That was a fantastic match. I don't know if you remember that. Like, he's had some really great matches. But they don't capitalize on him, unfortunately. I don't know. Maybe he upset somebody. Maybe there's just the way he is or something. I'm not sure what it is. But for whatever reason, he's just not a top star in WWE. And they've had opportunities, and they just didn't capitalize on it whatsoever. So it's really unfortunate. It just seems like he's always going to be in this position. But he's already won the tag team titles like a couple of times already, so he's catching up to Cesaro. I think he's already like a 3-time former tag team champion. Tag team championship wins are kind of easy to get in WWE. They're the easiest championships to win.
Who's he held him with other than Jordan?
He had it with Shelton and Bobby Roode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess maybe he is like a new Cesaro type of thing. He has title runs, and you kind of don't remember the tag team that he even won it with. Big E and Heavy Machinery beat Sheamus, Miz, and John Morrison. Sheamus got madder in the match. He kept wanting to get tagged in, and then the ref, when he did get tagged in, the ref missed the tag and said Sheamus couldn't come in. So Sheamus is just like, fuck this fella, I'm out of here. And Miz is like, no, come on, Sheamus, stay. And Sheamus is like, no, fuck you, Miz, I'm out of here. And then Sheamus just left, which was kind of weird. And then Big E and Heavy Machinery beat Miz and Morrison. Why is that good?
Screw the Miz. Miz sucks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's weird. Big E beat the Miz, got the pinfall on Miz after the big ending. The Big E push continues. He doesn't have a match at Payback, but they're trying to do something with him. At least that's what they're telling you. They're like, yes, Big E, singles run. This is happening. They really seem to be very clear in announcing this to everybody that we have plans for Big E. Kofi did that promo. Commentary keeps talking about it. It's like, I've never seen a guy more obviously pushed ever. Like, where commentary's talking about him like getting a big, it's his time, and like, has this ever happened before? It's weird how they're like really telling you like, we are pushing Big E. It makes me think like, this is bullshit. They're not really pushing Big E. What's he gonna do? Become champion? Roman Reigns is back. There's only so high he can go. That glass ceiling with Roman Reigns now. Like, what are they really gonna do with Big E?
This might be the new Rocky Maivia, perhaps. It's like, oh, this guy is the blue chipper. This guy's gonna be the next big star in the company, and then people turn on it very, very quickly. So it could happen.
I think best case scenario, he winds up in some sort of program with Otis and Roman Reigns for the title. If that's where you want to go in the next 5-6 months with Big E, gets involved with Otis. Otis has Money in the Bank. Roman Reigns, something there. Maybe beats Braun Strowman along the way. I mean, there are ways to do it with Big E. I believe in Big E. I just don't believe the WWE's really going to get to the main event with him. And if they do, they won't hold it. They'll do what they did to Kofi. So Riddle and Corbin. Riddle beats Corbin. Riddle me this, Johnny.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think Riddle's going to win it. I would think it would be the opening match of Payback.
Yeah.
Or kickoff.
Right. All right, Johnny. I want to talk some AEW because a lot has happened in AEW. Since our last episode of Wrestling Uncensored, there's been 2 episodes of Dynamite. Because Dynamite, Wrestling Uncensored drops every Saturday morning, and Dynamite aired last Saturday night, and then again last Thursday. And they will be back on Wednesday at their normal time, finally. But before we tell you about AEW, we're going to tell you about our friends over at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code RINGSIDE20. Get 20% off your order plus free shipping. They've got great products. They've got the Lawnmower 3.0 now available in Canada. It's got a nice flashlight at the end of it so you can see all the nooks and crannies. Get yourself nice and clean. Your balls will thank you. All the great Manscaped products that they have available at manscaped.com. Ball deodorant. You don't want stinky balls. You want them to smell nice and fresh. You want everything to be clean and fresh and smooth and looking good. Manscaped.com. Use the promo code RINGSIDE20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. Okay? I'll also tell you about our friends over at IPVanish. Protect yourself on the internet. Stay safe. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net to sign up today with IPVanish. It is a great service. You need a secure VPN when you are on the internet. Are you using your cell phone on public Wi-Fi? You're out and about these days. The world is starting to open up. You need a VPN. You don't want to get hacked. And you also want to watch videos from all over the world, right? You don't want to see that Uploader has not made this video available in your country. You don't want to see that anymore. You need a VPN to change where they think your country of origin is. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net. Sign up with IPVanish today. Big Johnny, AEW All Out is 1 week away. Jeez, brother.
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday. So next Saturday, Wrestling Uncensored will put out in the morning our AEW All Out preview show. And then that night, we will be doing our AEW All Out watch-along, right?
Big day.
Big day, brother. Big time. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to all the AEW action next Saturday. I'm looking forward to All Out, the next big pay-per-view from AEW. These are big deals. You know, they only do 4 a year, and they've set this one up pretty nicely. So far, we've got Jon Moxley versus MJF. What a promo by MJF and Jon Moxley this week on Dynamite. By God.
Best part of the show.
MJF telling Moxley to tell his wife that he's single. My God. MJF said so much in that promo. It was just brilliant stuff. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. You missed something. Like, that is something worth checking out. The MJF Jon Moxley contract signing on Dynamite this week was brilliant stuff. Wow. I mean, Johnny, that was fantastic.
The best part was the hairline comment. That was great because you could tell Moxley was kind of pissed off about that and had to fire back on him.
Yeah, MJF is like, oh, you know, I know that these things usually end in some sort of violence, but I want to practice social distancing with you, Jon Moxley. Social distancing, kind of like your hairline. And then Moxley seemed a little mad, and he's like, oh, you'll get there when you hit puberty. Jericho popped for that big on commentary. Jericho was brilliant on commentary once again this week. MJF says, oh, Moxley, you speak eloquently for somebody from Middle America. My God. I mean, MJF just going for the jugular. You know, like some of the shit he was saying was just like, shit, man. You're allowed to say these things on TV? It was wild. It was really wild stuff from MJF. This guy, man, he's the best promo in the wrestling business today, right? Is there anybody cutting a better promo than MJF? This is a bad motherfucker, man. He is not scared. He is going all out.
For the most part, Jericho, but I mean,
Right.
the Orange Cassidy stuff I find has somewhat hurt Jericho. Like, it's hard to take Jericho seriously when he's not in a serious storyline, but usually Jericho promos are the highlight of most shows.
Yes, Jericho is very good, but this Orange Cassidy thing, I'm talking about right now, currently, week in, week out on AEW, MJF is the guy, because Jericho is doing this Orange Cassidy thing, and, you know, it's whatever, but he's having a Mimosa Mayhem match with Orange Cassidy. Mimosa Mayhem match. It is the, you know, the kill-off match, the rubber match. Jericho's won once, Orange has won the other, and now this is the third match in the trilogy, a Mimosa Mayhem match, which, of course, it does make a lot of sense. I will give them credit because, John, you know how you make a mimosa?
No.
Well, it's orange juice, right?
Okay.
And champagne. A little bit of the bubbly. So it does make a lot of sense for Orange Cassidy and the originator of a little bit of the bubbly, who's got his own champagne, Chris Jericho, to have a Mimosa Mayhem match. Like, it makes sense. There's been a lot of orange juice and champagne in this story. They waterboarded Orange Cassidy with the champagne last week on Dynamite. So it makes sense. The match can be won by pinfall submission or throwing your opponent into a tank of mimosa. And apparently the champagne in your eyes does sting when it's poured in your eyes, as it was to Orange Cassidy. I assume the orange juice might as well. And I do not think that the match will be won by pinfall or submission. I do believe that the Mimosa Mayhem match has to end with somebody going into the pool of mimosa, right? Which is fucking stupid, but whatever.
Well, I'm thinking the other way around, actually. I think Jericho's going to get, like, a sneaky pin, submission, whatever, but he's still going to, like, take the dump into the mimosa, I think, in the end. So he'll win the match, but be embarrassed. I think that's how it's going to end.
Take the dump, solid phrase, because this is shit. This is just bullshit. But, you know, Jericho, whatever, he's doing his thing. I'm not so interested in the Mimosa Mayhem match, but I love Chris Jericho, so I'll give it a pass. It is what it is. Jericho was amazing on commentary this week. Jon Moxley versus MJF, though, for the AEW World title. That's got my attention. The paradigm shift is banned. Jon Moxley signed the contract. He cannot have his finishing move in this match. He can't use it. But he added an addendum to the contract that he gets to wrestle MJF's lawyer on Dynamite this Wednesday before the pay-per-view. And if the lawyer doesn't show up, MJF doesn't get to have the match for the title. MJF is a killer promo. Will he win? Will he beat Moxley? Will Renee interfere on Moxley's behalf? Renee, of course, formerly Renee Young in the WWE. She is a free agent. She is gone. I expect her to turn up in AEW, and I'd like to see her, you know, maybe be a commentary person, maybe be an announce person, but maybe also just be an on-screen character with Jon Moxley. I wouldn't mind seeing Renee, like, you know, there's that lady that is with MJF, and he's always telling her to smile. You know, she's part of his campaign or whatever. If she decides to interfere at All Out on behalf of MJF, Wouldn't it be great if Renee runs down and stops her and helps Moxley retain the title? Like, that would be big. Like, people would be like, oh, shit, it's Renee, you know? People would like that, John. I know you're not into it, but I'm telling you, it would get a big reaction. Yeah. People would be buzzing about that. You know I'm right. People seem to love Renee. You may not. I may not really get the big deal with Renee, but, you know, people like Renee. And if she showed up to help Moxley, her husband, it would get a big reaction. People would like it. I wouldn't mind it. I think it'd be cool. She's Canadian, so, you know, there's that. Toronto, though, so yeah, also that.
Well, whatever. Edge and Christian were roughly around Toronto anyway.
That's right.
So, you know.
Trish Stratus.
So there's no hate with Toronto.
No.
The least
kidding.
route.
Okay. So are the Canadians.
Unfortunately, they got screwed. But when it comes to this, I'm not too big on Renee. And if she shows up, that's great. I'm sure it'll get a great reaction. I don't think we need to see her in AEW every week. I don't think she really wants that because she still works for Fox Sports. I mean, I would think that's a much better job than being like the 5th or 6th commentator in AEW.
I don't know. Maybe she'll wrestle. Who knows? She could wrestle Brandy.
Can she wrestle?
I don't know. They could teach her. How hard is it?
Yeah.
You do it. You do it. You wrestle, John. How hard is it? Can't be that hard, right? You can do it.
Did you see the women's match this week on Dynamite?
Yes, I did. It was terrible. Okay, let's talk about it. So Big Swole has a match, and if she wins against Reba or Rebel or whatever they're calling her, who's like Britt Baker's assistant, and it's her and Penelope, what's her name? Penelope Ford? Not Penelope Cruz is somebody else, right? She's an actress, right? Penelope Ford.
That's correct.
So Penelope Ford is wrestling with Reba against Big Swole, and it is horrible. It is so bad. They're just like falling all over the place. It's just awful.
Sloppy.
And I know that Reba was in a match in TNA as Rebel Tania, and I think it was one of the worst matches in like TNA history. I'm pretty sure if you Google her name,
it's her against Shelly Martinez. I know the match you're talking about.
Right? Like if you search for Rebel Tania on YouTube, it probably comes up right away, right? Rebel Tania, Shelly Martinez.
It's her most famous match. There's no question about it.
Right. Because it was very bad. It was like one of the worst matches you will ever see, right?
I feel like TNA had worse matches. You remember when Sharmell wrestled in TNA?
No.
Oh, wow, is that horrific.
Okay. Well, this here was pretty bad. Big Swole versus Penelope Ford and Reba. Big Swole winds up winning after Reba grabs a crutch, goes to hit Big Swole. Swole ducks. Reba hits Penelope. The momentum of it all sends Reba bumping down to the mat and rolling out to the floor for no reason in particular other than it's the finish. She has to get out of the ring for Big Swole to pin Penelope so we can get out of this awful, awful match. It was so bad. Like, the match up until that point was really bad. And then the finish, I was like, why did she bump? She just hit somebody with a crutch and she bumped out of the ring afterwards. I've never seen that before. You hit somebody with a weapon. You're not beat up at all. You're not like, it's not like a desperation hit. You're fine. You hit somebody with a weapon. It's the wrong person. The shock of the whole thing sends you crashing to the floor where you can't even interfere and stop your team from losing. What? It was so fucking bad. If that's not the worst match in AEW history, I don't think I want to see what the worst match was, Johnny. Like, I don't remember anything worse in AEW. I've seen some bad matches in AEW. This was beyond. This was bad. Like, no more Reba. I think, Reba really sucks at wrestling. That's my estimation on this, is that she's just an awful wrestler, and there's a reason why she just stands there with Britt Baker. I'm sure she's a lovely person. I got no problem with her personally, but holy shit, was that a bad match. Big Swole is not that bad. Penelope Ford's not that bad. So, you do the math.
Well, but to be fair to Penelope and Big Swole, like, it started off bad when they screwed up whatever, like, fireman's carry they were in. Because when they tipped over on that, that's when the whole match went to hell.
Oh, that was so bad. Penelope picks up Big Swole in a fireman's carry and then just kind of tumbles. What? How do you fuck that up? On TV wrestling. It's not a big move. I don't know what was going on there. It's so bad. You're telling me that wasn't the worst match in AEW history? Really?
I found, from what I remember, I think it was Nakazawa. I forget the guy who was wrestling. I think it was like a Fight for the Fallen kind of show or whatever.
Oh, the video game guy.
That was so bad.
Yeah.
I hated that match so much.
Even that. I don't know. This was pretty goddamn bad.
No, because this wasn't as long. That match just went on forever.
Yeah, but it was like a pre-show match, wasn't it?
Regardless, like, you're just saying match. Like,
okay.
In terms of watching AEW, I was like, this is the worst part. And like, that was the start of AEW too, right? That was like their third show. So I was like, wow, AEW like sucks after I saw that.
Well, so
they
maybe
don't
this,
though. I mean,
maybe this is the worst match in Dynamite history.
It's up there. It's definitely one of the top ones for sure.
It sucked big time. Young Bucks beating QT Marshall or Marshall. I don't know. Jericho called him Marshall. I still don't know what his name is. And did he get hair plugs or something? What's going on? He used to be bald and now he's got hair. It looks like plugs on the top of his head. What's going on with QT Marshall?
Well, we've seen women do it, right? Like, they seem to always have these extensions, so maybe he got some sort of extension.
No. That you don't understand how extensions work, John. That wasn't extensions. That was like plug skis or something. I don't know what's going on. But he's got hair on the top of his head now where it used to be bald, where it didn't seem to grow. So, yeah, that's how he's spending his AEW money. QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes taking the loss to the Young Bucks. But then it was a gauntlet match, right? So the number 5, the number 4, the number 3, the number 2, and the number 1 contenders were all in this match, right?
I believe
it was really convoluted.
Top 4 contenders.
It was the top 4 contenders, right? Okay. So,
right.
Wait, no. QT and Dustin, Bucks, Best Friends, and FTR. Oh, yeah, 4. So, Marshall and the Rhodes guys were the 4th seed, and the Bucks beat them, and then the 2 seed Best Friends come and beat the Bucks, and then the number 1 seed FTR beat the Best Friends. Both finishes, like the Bucks against Marshall and Rhodes, like that was a fine match. The finish was fine. The finish to the Best Friends Young Bucks match was interesting. Matt waiting to do that spike pile driver thing. He's holding one of the Best Friends, I think Trent. He's holding him in the thing, ready to do their pile driver. Nick's on the apron, ready to do the springboard jump thing. What's the name of that move?
Meltzer driver.
That's the Meltzer driver, right? Okay. I'm never sure. Safe. Yeah, whatever. It's a spike pile driver with a little flip ski. So Nick's on the apron ready to do this move. It's the finisher. And here comes Hangman and just holds Nick's leg and stops him from doing the move. And it's like, well, what's Hangman Page doing there? Why is he stopping the Young Bucks? And then Matt Jackson just kind of standing there waiting for his brother. His brother doesn't come. Trent rolls him up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Best Friends win. They eliminate the Young Bucks. And this whole gauntlet match was to determine a number 1 contender, I think, or not. I don't think that's what this is.
Well,
like, Isn't there another match now?
So whoever won the gauntlet gets the title shot at the pay-per-view.
I don't think so.
Well, that's what happened.
Is it? Is that what it is?
Because then the best friends wrestled FTR right after that.
Oh, yeah. So FTR does get the tag team title shot? Okay, that is official. No, you're right. You're right. I was confused because they kept throwing so many numbers at me. They're like, yeah, and then these guys will wrestle these guys, and these guys will wrestle these guys. I was like, what? And then this number 4 will wrestle number 2, and then they'll wrestle later, and then they'll face these guys at the tag team and for the title. And like, who? What? It was just a lot of information.
In a row.
Why can't they just say? Why can't they just say we're gonna have a gauntlet match with the top contenders? The winner of the gauntlet match goes on to the pay-per-view. Like, they just made it way more complicated than it needed to be. But whatever. So the Young Bucks lose because Hangman stops them. Hangman screws them. They were mad at Hangman. Later on, they kicked Hangman out of the Elite. They said he's nothing but a drunk, and they threw his drink in his face. And Hangman really had no answers why he didn't help the Bucks or why he stopped them from winning. It's kind of a weird thing there. Why?
We saw it last Saturday. FTR was telling him, like, oh, you don't want the Bucks to win. Like, you wrestled the Bucks before, and if you lose to the Bucks, they'll just show you that you weren't the best tag team, that they're the best tag team. They're holding you down. You can't let them win. So he got in their head. They got in Page's head.
Okay, but didn't Kenny and Hangman already beat the Bucks?
Right, but they still can't lose to the Bucks, and if the Bucks finally eventually beat them, then it throws everything they did away.
But if they lose to FTR, like, it's fine? Because to me, if you're the tag team champions, right, and you beat the Young Bucks and you retain your tag team titles, you could say, well, we're the best tag team in the world. But then the FTR show up and they haven't been in AEW, and then they beat you first chance they get. Well, it's like, well, actually, that negates everything you've done, because not only are you no longer the AEW Tag Team Champions, you were never truly the best tag team in the world, because the whole time FTR was out there and they could have beat you any chance they got, right? So I think losing to the Young Bucks would be like, well, we lost, but we already beat them, so we're 1-1. We're not necessarily worse than them. They're not necessarily better than us. We're kind of even, right? But if FTR beats them, then they're not even. And then FTR is clearly better than them. So that story doesn't make a lot of sense to me if you're looking at it logically, right? Like, how does that add up? Well, if Hangman loses to FTR, well, then FTR we're always the better tag team, and Hangman and Kenny were never anything. They're not shit.
Yeah, but he's friends with FTR, so it's okay to lose to your friends.
But he's friends with the Young Bucks. At least he was, right? Like, it doesn't really make sense. And Hangman's just stupid and drunk that, like, FTR can just get in his ear and tell him whatever. Does Hangman not realize he's still going to have to wrestle FTR? Or is he just, like, not concerned about FTR? He knows he and Kenny can just destroy them? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. What's the story?
Well, we still got one more Dynamite for them to explain it. Hopefully they can do it properly, but wait and see. If anything, now you need to see what Kenny's reaction to this is going to be, because you didn't see what Kenny thought.
Kenny's going to kill somebody. Kenny's the cleaner again. Kenny's going crazy. I love cleaner Kenny. I love evil Kenny. I loved what happened last week on Dynamite when the Bucks and Kenny, they beat the Dark Order guys, and then Kenny's not done. He just power bombs one after the match, and the Bucks like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, what? Beating a guy up. It's what I do. Fuck this guy. And they're like, no, we won. That's enough. We're good guys. And Kenny's like, yeah, well, all right, I guess, but fucking kick him on the way out. Like Kenny's like turning. Kenny's getting the edge to him. Kenny's getting that main event Kenny ready. I feel like the Kenny Omega character is building and something's going to happen. And as a Kenny Omega fan, this is what I've been waiting for since the beginning of AEW. Let's fucking go. It's cleaner time. It's Kenny Omega time. It's Best Bout Machine time. Let's do it, Kenny. I'm very excited about new Kenny, angry Kenny, evil Kenny, fucking killer Kenny. Killer Kenny. I mean, shit, man.
I don't like that.
I like it, man. This version of Kenny Omega is very good. And I think when Kenny shows up, he's just going to beat the shit out of everybody. Like, when Kenny is, like, incensed, he shouldn't be stopped. Like, he's a guy that should just fucking destroy everybody because he's fucking Kenny Omega. When he's got his head on straight and he's, like, determined to win, he shouldn't lose. He's been joking around and kind of being a nice guy. That shit should end, and he should just go in kill mode and then fucking beat everybody, you know? That's how I feel. That's just how I feel as an AEW fan and as a guy who's watched Kenny Omega for several years now. I feel like, you know, it hasn't been the same Kenny that I saw in New Japan, and I want more of that Kenny to show up here. I want, you know, fucking mean Kenny with the edge to him. And I think we're starting to see it.
Well, they bleeped John Moxley for saying, like, dead man, you're a dead man to MJF, so I don't think you're going to get Killer Kenny anytime soon.
Did they censor him telling MJF he's a dead man at the pay-per-view? Why did they do that?
If it wasn't TNT, it was definitely TSN doing that, because it was very odd, the bleeping there.
Was your sound kind of cutting out for chunks of Dynamite? Because mine on TSN, like, the sound just disappears sometimes.
I think it was more on their end, though. I don't know if that was completely on TSN.
Yeah, it's Dynamite.
I think there was sound. Yeah, I think it was just sound problems, period.
Why do they always have sound problems? I feel like every episode of Dynamite, there's like a chunk that there's just no audio for.
It's mainly the live episodes. I find the tape episodes actually come out clear, actually, so maybe it's better than when they're taped. But next week we'll be live, so you have to deal with it.
Well, it never happens with live WWE shows. But you know what the WWE doesn't have that AEW does have? A crowd.
Fans?
Yeah. That was crazy, right? Like, you could tell when Jericho came out and the fans are singing his song and there's fans there. I don't know how they pulled that off. It seems dangerous, but I don't know. People are wearing masks. They seem distanced enough. It's an outdoor
10%.
venue. 10%, I guess, full, but that 10% was loud. It felt like real fans. They cut off MJF. They were booing him. Like, MJF in his promo could kind of play to the audience. I was like, holy shit, it's a heel cutting a promo playing to the audience. This is amazing. This is what wrestling is supposed to sound like. Like, the sound and the feel of Dynamite felt amazing. And they have, like, a gigantic advantage over WWE now. The Thunderdome sound is terrible. The AEW real crowd sound is incredible. When they were singing Judas, when Jericho came out, you could see Jericho's big smile. He was loving it. He was talking about the crowd a lot during the commentary. Man, it made such a difference. It made the show way more enjoyable. So cool to see a crowd there. I'm not sure how they were able to pull it off, but good on AEW, and wow. It felt so good as a wrestling fan to hear a real crowd actually reacting to things in a real organic way. How good did that sound, Johnny? Like, man, that was great.
Well, to quote AJ, before the COVID days, like, wrestling used to be fun to watch, and it hasn't been as fun during the COVID days, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But this was nice to get that. I mean, again, it was only 10%, and they seemed very far away from the ring for the most part. And for the most part, they had masks. Some of them weren't wearing masks properly, but, you know, AEW's got to work on that. But it was nice, though, to actually get a vibe from the crowd, like something, you know, like energy, which you're not getting with a Thunderdome.
Yeah, that's it. It was real energy from a real crowd. Really cool. I love that. I love that on Dynamite this week. I also loved the bump of the night. Wasn't actually in the arena. It was off a bridge. Darby Allin scales this bridge and jumps off into water. I'm pretty sure that was him. They said it wasn't a stunt double. That was really Darby. And I'm pretty sure that really was Darby. It was one of those videos. He's like, you think I'm scared of you, Ricky Starks? I'm not scared of anything. And I'm like, yep, I fucking believe you, Darby Allin. You are crazy, man. This guy, balls of steel, not scared of anything. Holy shit. Did you see him jump off that bridge? Like, first of all, he's climbing the bridge. It's not like he's jumping off like a road on a bridge. He's climbing this like metal structure that's very narrow, and if he falls, like, who knows? He gets to the top of this thing, and he jumps off into what I'm hoping is deep water. I don't know, man. This guy does some shit. It's like, whoa. You're a good pro wrestler because you are not scared of anything, buddy. You're willing to take some bumps and do some dives, and I don't know how long your career is going to be, but, maybe you're going to have Jeff Hardy's luck and have a very long career. I hope so, because that shit Darby Allin does is really impressive. That fucking bridge jump, like, him skateboarding around is, like, not really my favorite, but that bridge thing was really cool. I was like, what the fuck? What?
He's a daredevil. Like, he will just do things just to get a reaction, pretty much, and he's really done that easily here, it seems. I'm looking forward to what he's going to do at the pay-per-view. It sucks he's only in, like, the Casino Battle Royal. He should be in a bigger match. I'm also kind of disappointed, like, they hyped up that it seemed that it would be like Lance Archer against, like, Brian Cage. They hyped up that kind of confrontation, but we don't have a match. I really wanted to see a match there.
Yeah, I'd like to see that match. Lance Archer beat a guy called Sean Maluta in a squash, and then Jake Roberts starts cutting a promo about Lance Archer winning the Casino Battle Royal, talking about how there's 21 guys in the thing, and totally missed opportunity. Jake Roberts at no point ever said, do you want to play 21? Never said that. Didn't say it once. I mean, what?
He still has time.
Don't you think he has to say, do you want to play 21? Like, that's kind of a famous Jake Roberts phrase, especially if you watch Botchamania. You know what I'm talking about. Do you want to play 21? Like, that's classic, What happens after do you want to play 21, John? In the intro. Remember that?
Something really terrible happens, if I'm not mistaken.
Isn't it just like Iron Sheik going, fucking bullshit? No?
I thought it was like some woman like rubbing him off or something. Like,
he's got a bicycle.
That
I don't know. Anyways, Jake
There's
Roberts.
A lot of weirdness going
Jake
on.
Roberts did not say, do you want to play 21, which was disappointing. But Taz shows up with Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, and Roberts calls them the Flintstones. I really like Jake Roberts referring to Taz as Fred Flintstone. I thought that was a hilarious comparison. He kind of does look like Fred Flintstone. Wasn't he? Was he
so
Fred?
Wait, yeah, that's it. Like, who was Wilma then? Like, that's
I think Ricky Starks. I think, or maybe Fred was Brian Cage and Taz was Barney. I could see Barney too, right? Taz is Barney.
Yeah.
Fred is Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks kind of skinny like Wilma. Yeah, I like that. I'm not sure who he was talking about exactly, who was who. But calling them the Flintstones definitely popped me. I thought that was really funny. And I loved seeing Taz and Jake Roberts like go head-to-head on a little promo there. And then Darby Allin shows up. So, like, Lance Archer's in the ring and Brian Cage is there, and they're, like, trying to get into it. And Jake Roberts and Taz are there, like, holding their guys back. And then Darby Allin rides in on a skateboard, and, like, you think all hell's going to break loose. But no, he just kind of attacks Ricky Starks. And then he brawls with Ricky Starks, and they brawl away. And then Brian Cage and Lance Archer just, like, kept facing off, and then that was it. It was kind of like we didn't really get what we want to see. Hopefully they'll square off in the 21-man, what's it called? Casino Battle Royal, where the winner will receive a future AEW World Title shot. So far in that match, you have Darby Allin, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix, The Butcher, The Blade, and Eddie Kingston. So you have 9 of a potential 21 already announced. I like that new group, Eddie Kingston leading Pentagon, Ray, Phoenix, The Butcher, and The Blade. Eddie Kingston does good promos. I like him. I like that group. I like them all together. I like the groups that are springing up in AEW. You know, you've got the Elite, which seems like a smaller and smaller group now. I think it's just the Bucks and Kenny at this point, right? Cody's got his own Nightmare family with Dustin and QT Marshall and Brandy and Allie and I think Zack Ryder, and it seems like Scorpio Sky is in that as well. Because, right, they had a whole thing this week. No?
Cody's just gone. Cody's just gone now. They say Cody's out indefinitely.
What do you mean? Is there something really wrong with Cody? Like, they're saying Cody's hurt, but, like, is he really?
I don't know. I heard it's because, like, he's focusing on other projects, so that's why we're not seeing him. He could be very well banged up. I mean, he's been wrestling a lot. Like, I feel like he almost wrestled, like, every week, so I could see that he just needs some time off just to kind of heal a bit. Like, go every week. It's not exactly easy, so I could see that he just needs to take some time off. It just sucks. It's right before the pay-per-view. I was hoping we were going to get Cody Brody Lee the rematch.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange that Cody not booked for All Out. The Dark Order carried out a casket this week saying Cody Rhodes, the man, they're bidding farewell to the man formerly known as, or the man only known as Cody, which I like that, Evil Uno talking about Cody, doing a little eulogy there. And the guys that showed up to kind of defend Cody's honor were QT Marshall, Dustin Rhodes, which makes sense, Scorpio Sky for no reason in particular, and Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Zack Ryder, which makes sense because he was kind of teaming with Cody before Cody disappeared. And now at the pay-per-view, it's going to be Cardona, Scorpio, Dustin, and QT versus Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson representing the Dark Order. So you're really getting the top-level Dark Order here. But Brody Lee, TNT champion, not defending it All Out, which kind of does make sense. He's the TNT champion, right? And All Out is going to be a pay-per-view, not on TNT. So it makes sense that he wouldn't defend the title here. It's a TV title. It's not a pay-per-view title. I get it.
Well, he doesn't have to defend, but he could defend. However, we have 3 title matches already. I can understand you don't want to overbook the pay-per-view with title matches. There's already big enough matches on it. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's just, again, still, I kind of wanted to see Cody Brody Lee again. So it's kind of too bad, but we get this. I'm not really looking forward to that 8-man tag. It's my least looking forward to match of the whole show, but at least there's better matches on the show.
Yeah, All Out definitely does look good. You've got the Casino Battle Royal. You've got Hikaru Shida, the AEW Women's Champion, defending the title against the NWA Women's Champion Thunder Rosa. Interpromotional stuff. Nice little video package that they showed for that one, even including the voice of Billy Corgan, who's the owner of NWA, talking about the match. I thought that was very cool. Kenny and Hangman defending the tag team titles against the FTR. That's going to be a good one. Chris Jericho against Orange Cassidy in the Mimosa Mayhem match. And then, of course, Jon Moxley defending the AEW World title against MJF. We'll do the official preview next week, but what chances are you giving MJF in that match against Moxley? You think he wins?
It's tough with this because, like, one week I'm like, yeah, MJF's going to win. Now I'm like, I think Moxley's probably going to win. It's really going back and forth, so I mean, we're going to have to wait until that last episode of Dynamite to get a true feel on this.
That's it. It's very hard, and I am not too sure where it's going to go, which makes this a very highly anticipated match. I think MJF could lead a new breed of AEW here, but Moxley has been a solid enough champion, and I could see them continuing with...
The world.
Well, according to who?
PWI.
Whatever. I don't really buy into that. Who was last year's number 1 wrestler in the world? Like Seth Rollins or something? Like, come on.
That's right.
I don't see Jon Moxley as the number 1 wrestler in the world. He's up there. He's in the conversation for the top guy, but he had a good year. That's for sure. He had a really good year. But he's up there. He's top 5, I'd say. I don't know if he's number 1. But he's very, very good, and I could see him continuing his run as AEW champion. I really don't know, and it's one of the reasons why I really want to see the match. I don't know what AEW is going to do, and I want to see what they're going to do. And, of course, you can't forget, Big Swole has earned a match against Britt Baker. That's going to be at All Out. So they haven't made that official yet because Big Swole has to announce the stipulation, but that match will happen. Did Taya Conti joined the Dark Order. She was Anna Jay's tag team partner during the women's tag team tournament that they had. And it seemed like they offered her a membership into the Dark Order, and she accepted. I like Anna Jay. Yeah. Are they going to add another woman to the Dark Order? Taya Conti? Has that happened? Do you care?
Well, I think Conti's a really good wrestler. I remember her in NXT, and she was the best wrestler I found in the women's AEW Women's Cup tournament they did. So I'm glad they signed her, and I'm glad they're going to be using her going forward. Does she need to be in the Dark Order? I don't really think that needs to happen, but for whatever reason, maybe they're building up tag teams in AEW for the women's division.
And the main event of Dynamite this week I thought was very good. Sammy Govara versus Matt Hardy. Sammy getting the win in a tables match over Matt. A superplex through a table and a chair. There was a chair under the table, and Matt went through everything. Sammy was busted open big time. He went through a table, and it looked like he got cut on the side of his head when he went through the table. Shit, that match was violent. The Sammy Guevara-Matt Hardy feud was something I cared nothing about until Sammy Guevara whipped that chair at Matt Hardy's head, and then the subsequent promos about Matt Hardy, how, Sammy Guevara is dangerous and he's going to beat the shit out of him and get him out of the wrestling business because he doesn't deserve to be in the business, and he's, he's reckless and all this stuff. Like, it feels like some real shit that Matt Hardy might say after a guy whips a chair into his head and busts him open really bad. It's really good. And the match was really good, and Sammy winning is like, oh shit. I don't know if it's over, but Sammy bleeding too. I don't think that was supposed to happen. It just happened to happen. This feud has been so violent, so bloody. I'm not done with it, man. I fucking love this shit. This Matt Hardy Sammy Guevara feud was great, and the match was like, oh fuck. Goddamn, pal. It's really good.
Yeah, it's good. It's just, where do you go from here, though? I mean, you just had a very bloody table match.
Yeah.
Now what? I mean, it's kind of hard. Like, I thought maybe they do like a first blood match, but you've already spilled a lot of blood so far both ways. I mean, you got to do more than just that at this point.
Come up with some sort of super hardcore match. Monsters Ball. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, because Jericho's also got a stipulation match, so as long as you keep it different from whatever the heck they're doing there, it'll be fine, but just don't make it another hardcore match. Like, you don't need too many of the same kind of hardcore matches on the show.
How about some sort of deletion, some sort of ultimate final deletion type movie match with Sammy? That could work, too.
I wouldn't mind it, as long as, for the most part, it's not too... I feel over the top.
I feel like a death match, though, like some sort of super hardcore match, like the Mimosa Mayhem match. That's more of a jokey match. Like the Sammy and Matt Hardy thing, it's like serious, like ECW style, gonna kill you, barbed wire or baseball bat, shit like that, Jericho and Orange, it's like a match, and then somebody falls into a tub of mimosa. It's kind of jokey, haha. But the Matt Hardy Sammy thing, it could be more serious. You could do, a real serious hardcore match, but TLC?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the only problem is, you just have to be a pinfall kind of thing. But yeah, something like that. A match like a steel cage match, too, would work as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. But, yeah, I really like what I'm seeing from Sammy and Matt Hardy. Seeing Sammy bleed... and seeing him go through tables and seeing him take all this punishment from Matt Hardy almost makes me forgive him for what he said about Sasha Banks. Almost. It's funny what seeing a man bleed will do to you and your feelings. It's like, yeah, all right. Continue taking more punishment and we'll see if we can forgive you in a couple of years, Sammy Guevara. Right? I don't know. Is that just me?
Yeah, maybe it's just you. I don't know if I see it the same way, but okay.
All right. Okay. It's hard to forgive. Coming up on Wednesday on Dynamite, Chris Jericho will be wrestling Joey Janela. It could be fun. Jericho versus Janela.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that one. It should be interesting, whatever they pull off in there. Because like Janela, he's more of a hardcore kind of guy. I don't know what he could do with Jericho.
Janela was in a weirdo match this week. Lucha Brothers, Butcher and the Blade beat Griff Garrison, Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, and Brian Pillman Jr. It was like, this is a weird team, but they kind of all fit together. But I was like, oh yeah, Brian Pillman Jr., is he in AEW? Cool.
Yeah, we talked about him a couple times. He got a FTW title shot actually against Brian Cage.
Oh yeah, on Dark though, right? Has he been on
Well,
Dynamite?
I think this was his first wrestling appearance on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Any jobs too.
Yeah, he got the loss there. But yeah, that's it. I hadn't seen Brian Pillman Jr. on Dynamite before, and here he is with Griff Garrison, Big Jungle Boy, and Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. Best Friends will take on Proud and Powerful coming up on Dynamite Wednesday. That's the big blow-off match to their feud. I guess they're not going to have room for it on the pay-per-view, so they do it on the Dynamite before. And the Young Bucks with the Jurassic Express will take on SCU and Private Party. And the winners of that match will face each other at All Out for no reason in particular. Maybe a number one contender. I don't know. Probably. I guess. I don't know. What's the story?
Well, I think it's just, they need to put the Young Bucks on the pay-per-view, so this is to give them a reason. Like, they need a reason while they win this match, then they're going to be on the pay-per-view. So that's how it's going to work out.
Wrestling Jurassic Express on the pay-per-view? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. No, it should be an all right match.
Yeah, but, like, whatever. There's no heat there. There's no real reason. It's just like, oh, let's put these guys on the pay-per-view to have an okay match. That's fine, but it's not anything special, Anyways.
Well, the tag team title match, that's the title match to look forward to. That's the tag match to look forward to.
Yeah, that's a tag match to look forward to. Title matches, though, every title match on this card next week is like, ooh, fuck, yes. Thunder Rosa against Hikaru Shida, interpromotional champions facing each other, the NWA champion versus the AEW champion, that's big. John Moxley, MJF, that's big. Hangman and Kenny versus FTR. Hangman and Kenny could lose here. This is big. FTR getting their first ever shot at the AEW Tag Team titles. This is big. It's a big pay-per-view next week. I'm hyped for this. It's a big weekend. We got Payback coming up on Sunday, 7 p.m. Join us for the watch-along right here on the YouTube channel. Don't forget, we'll be back next Saturday for Wrestling Uncensored. Saturday morning, we'll do our AEW preview, the All Out preview, and then we'll be back next Saturday night during the pay-per-view for AEW All Out, the watch-along for that. And then we'll take a little break because I don't think there'll be any more wrestling pay-per-views in September, right? We were very busy. Last week we had SummerSlam watch-along. You can check that out if you missed it. The replay on our YouTube channel right now. We've got Payback watch-along on Sunday, AEW All Out watch-along next Saturday. So 3 weeks in a row we're giving you pro wrestling watch-alongs, but I think, we'll be on break as far as the pro wrestling watch-alongs for a little bit because we don't know when the next WWE pay-per-view will be. I can tell you that the next UFC pay-per-view that we'll be doing a watch-along for will be Saturday night, September the 26th for the Israel Adesanya Paulo Costa fight, UFC 253. So stay tuned to the Ringside Report Network for all of that. Thank you to everybody watching. Thank you to everybody supporting the Ringside Report Network by supporting our sponsors. Stitcher Premium. Go to Stitcher.com/premium. Use that promo code Ringside for a free month of this great audio service. They've got over 100,000 podcasts, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more. $34.99 a year or $4.99 a month. But when you sign up at Stitcher.com/premium, use the promo code Ringside, you get a free month of Stitcher Premium. Go to Manscaped.com. Use that promo code Ringside20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. Manscaped.com, promo code Ringside20. And, of course, our friends over at IPVanish. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net. Follow Johnny North on Twitter at North Genesis, on Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. You could follow me on all the things. See all my cool Lego Nintendo sets that I have on my Instagram at Dave Simon MMA on Instagram and Twitter. Dave Simon MMA. In the meantime, ringsidereport.net is the website. Catch everything that we do over there. For Johnny North, I'm Dave Simon, and this has been Wrestling Uncensored. Uncensored. We'll see you at Payback, brother.